Everyone, welcome back. This is the Hot Pot where we talk about all things Asia. I'm your host, Big Mac, and as always, I am joined with,
DJ Andy. It's good to be here.
as well as,
DJ Matt.
that's right. And today we have another very special program. We're actually joined by someone else. I don't think I could do justice introducing you, so why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Mirabelle. I'm a musician. I'm a singer-songwriter, composer, flautist, and I also do photography and videography as well.
That is correct. Yeah, actually, I noticed like a lot of your photos, like a lot of your like single covers. You've got a
They're all my photos, yeah, my photography.
Yeah, I figured a lot of like stuff in the mountains. Yeah, do like a lot of nature photography.
Yeah, because I'm in Calgary, and so it's a really close drive to the mountains. So it's a lot of mountains, a lot of lakes, a lot of nature. It's great.
Indeed. Yeah, so Mirabelle, she actually isn't too far from us, which is really cool. But yeah, from my understanding, you studied music in school. Like that was kind of your thing?
Yeah, I did my bachelor's in music, and I also did my master's in music, all in flute performance. But yeah, I've been doing music for like forever since I was a kid. Yeah.
You do some streams, you've got recordings, so you know, I've looked into it a little bit, and it seems like you do a lot of guitar, but then also some piano, like flute, like you said, that's kind of what you did for school. And then also,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, you do some Chinese zither.
Yeah, the Chinese zither, or it's also called the guzheng. Um, yeah, my mom taught us that when we were kids because my mom is actually a professional zither player. When they're back in Taiwan, she was part of like their national orchestra, and so when they immigrated here, she like kept teaching, and now she teaches at the Mount Royal Conservatory in Calgary, and like has her own studio. And so I've been kind of surrounded by that my whole life. So kind of had to learn it, you know.
Maybe you wouldn't be accepted in the family if you didn't take on this job. Gotta do what you gotta do
Kicked
to
out.
survive. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. So is it kind of like a harp?
Yeah, but laid down horizontal, I guess.
Right.
It's sort of like, yeah, like a piano electric keyboard maybe. It's pretty wide, and it stands on two legs, two stands. So it's kind of like a table. And then it's 21 strings, I believe. And yeah.
Maybe there's a like a really similar instrument that I'm thinking of, but like, do you have like tuning pegs that you kind of just slide
Mhm.
around?
Well, you don't really slide them around, but there are bridges along the strings.
Okay. Oh, they just like
And
fit in
then,
place somewhere.
yeah, yeah, they're like wooden pegs that you put under the string, and then it that affects the tuning. So if you move it one way, it makes it sharper, the other way it makes it flatter, sort of thing.
Wow, the Chinese zither, everyone. Does like any of your music have the Chinese zither? I wasn't too sure.
Unfortunately, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. All right.
No.
So
It'd be cool to kind of merge that into my music somehow, someday.
look forward to it. I guess another thing, like you're just because like I kind of know you personally, um,
Mhm.
and I understand that you are, I guess, trilingual.
Yeah, try spelled Try.
I
That's a
like
good
that.
That
one, actually. I don't think
that's
I've
what I
ever heard
always
I
that
like
say.
before.
that one.
And or like bilingual as in like BYE, like bye. Because you just sometimes you forget every single language. Like this one word that exists in English, you can't think of it, but you know it in Chinese and Mandarin. Or like because we know each other from this French program that we did, right? And so during that time, like a lot of words in English, I started to like lose track of what I didn't know how to speak any of the languages. Everything was just jumbled together.
Yeah, I feel like I've been there many times myself. I feel like my spelling has gotten really awful. Like there'll be a word that's similar in English and French, but the spelling's different. And then I'll
Hmm.
spell it in English, like an English sentence using the French spelling. And yeah, it is what it is.
It's franglais. It's totally a language.
Franglais.
Anglais. Yeah. Actually, though, speaking of languages, it just kind of ties into something I wanted to ask you. So in your discography, you have a few songs that are actually in Mandarin, right?
Mm.
I was just gonna ask because I thought that was actually really interesting how you have those songs that are in a foreign language. Though I believe you only have the two singles, is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, is that something that you kind of want to start working on and developing, like singing and performing in another language, or
Oh yeah,
is that just something
definitely.
that you like just tried and you just kind of left it at that?
I would love to do more of actually singing in like Mandarin. I also those two singles are actually covers. One of them is a mashup that I did of two songs. It's actually kind of a sad backstory to that. um, so like the original artist of that song, it's called 地球上最浪漫的一首歌, which roughly translates into the world's most romantic song. And unfortunately, the artist of that song, he passed away like a year or two ago. And it was a really sudden death, and he was really young. And so somebody else in the Taiwanese like their community, they wrote a song and dedicated it to Alien Huang, is that artist who passed away. And so I merged these two songs together in kind of like a to honor to honor Alien Huang. And that was the first Chinese song I ever put out, which was so it was a little scary, but it was really good. But yeah, I would love to do more of that. But like writing in another language is a little challenging. I haven't done that yet, but I would like to. I'd like to try.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever be able to do it, honestly.
Yeah, that's really daunting. I couldn't even imagine doing that, like writing my own stuff in French or Japanese, whatever. I don't know. When you do it, just I'll be watching.
Great. I'll probably need like a lot of editing help because like I can speak the language and my reading writing is really not very poetic or anything, like very elementary.
Well, it's definitely better than mine, if I'm being quite honest. But speaking of Taiwan and Mandarin, you mentioned that you listen to that Taiwanese artist, but is there more Taiwanese artists that you tend to listen to, or do you tend to listen to more just English music?
Honestly, I listen to a lot more just English music.
Mhm.
My brother listens to a lot of Taiwanese artists, so I know some and I know some of their songs, but it's not really something that I kind of because I just hear it all the time from my brother. He's always playing it. But there's like the classic Jay Chou. Wang Lihong is also up there, and 五月天 Mayday, I think. Yeah, I think those are like the top couple that we listen to or that I listen to sometimes.
Yeah, like I guess just growing up, like did you hear a lot of Mandarin music then?
So like we had to go to Chinese school. My mom was the principal of the Chinese school, and so like you had to go. Same with the zither thing, like you kind of had to learn. Um, which is great though. So like in Chinese schools, they would do these singing contests where every class just you had to learn a Chinese song. And so during that time, like we would listen to a lot of Chinese songs. But then like outside of Chinese school, just kind of on my own time, I just still heard a lot more English songs.
All right. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you're quite talented. Like you even have a master's of flute performance for crying out loud. But
Thanks.
I think what really like impressed me was I was watching one of your streams a while back and you were doing a cover. It might have been that one um Taiwan song you were talking about, but like, yeah, when I heard you do that, that's when I was really like, oh my goodness, like Mirabelle's the real deal. I don't know, personally, I like most of the music I listen to is Asian. I really gravitate towards that sort of. I don't know why, like why geography would play a role in my listening habits, but it does. And as the hot pot here, where we talk about all things Asia, I don't know. I think it's just cool to see like a Canadian just embrace their heritage in that way and have that reflected in their art.
It's definitely something that I am trying. The like older I get, I'm trying more like harder to stick with my culture. Because I know some people who, just don't speak the language anymore or are just so disconnected that they don't really visit family either in wherever they're from. Because I visit Taiwan. I mean, the last time I went back was probably like 5-6 years ago, but when we were younger we would go back every 2 years or so, just in the summer, to visit family, because here we don't really have much family. Like I have a couple cousins here, but it's pretty disconnected. But yeah, so it's easy to slip away from your culture, and so I'm trying trying harder to stick with it.
I guess with Taiwan, this is kind of like a weird question, but are you like satisfied with a lot of the media coverage of Taiwan these days?
Mm. I guess my only sort of like exposure to that is my parents watching Taiwanese news that's just on the TV sometimes. Yeah. Um, I mean, obviously, sometimes when it gets into like our mainstream media here, um, it's sometimes portrayed as like not so great, or it's very connected with mainland China, and there's a lot of politics surrounding that, um, which, well, like truly anciently, like it was all the same. It's all the same culture technically. So I don't think that there should be uh such a split. Although with politics now, it kind of, I don't know, it makes sense.
Yeah, but mostly what I hear is like when they talk about Taiwan, it's usually in reference to like China in some way.
Mhm.
Um, like I know the other day, one of my friends who's not Taiwanese or anything, no real connection to that. He kind of was under the impression that Taiwan's going to war soon with China, and I was like,
Right.
yeah, like I don't. I was trying to tell him like it's probably not going to happen at least anytime soon, but and so like that just seems to be the kind of like image or the perception I get these days, just from the news. But like what's something you would like people to know about Taiwan that they probably wouldn't know? Because I mean, I think in general, Canadians especially don't know a lot about Taiwan.
Hmm. Well, I think Taiwan is, they're really nice people. um, they're really nice, really just like family friendly, that sort of thing. And they've got a rich, they have a, well, I mean, they have a deep history with China and everything. And all of that is, I think that's pretty interesting how all that plays into the country it is now. Um, Obviously, there's a lot of good food in Taiwan, in like most of Asia, all of Asia. If you like Asian food, there's a lot of good food there. Also, bubble tea was invented in Taiwan. So, there's that. um, Taiwan is really small, but um it's pretty fun. There's a lot of good food. Good. That's pretty much it. Good food.
And this being the hot pot, we end up talking a lot about food on this show, especially with us being like the three of us having lived in Japan. Like we have a lot of different experiences with just all sorts of random Asian foods. Um, and you, because you've been to Taiwan and you come from an Asian culture. Is there any specific foods that like from Asia that really left an impression on you, or anything? I know you mentioned bubble tea because it's from Taiwan, but I was wondering if there's anything else.
I would say beef noodle soup or like braised pork on rice. And I guess there's a oyster omelet. I think that's what it is. A lot of these foods though, like I only learned in recent years what they're actually called in English because like growing up, it's just my parents just call it by its Chinese name. And and you like try to go to school and explain these things to people and they're like, what are you talking about? I don't know. But yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
for
those.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree with the seafood pancakes. I think that's what like
Yeah.
they're called in English,
Yeah.
but my goodness, they're so delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of weird. Like I didn't really experience that, but just, if you're like an elementary school student and you're like, you mean you don't know shumai?
Exactly. Yeah. An example of that is like persimmons. Like I did not know what that was called in English for the longest time. Like I only found out about their English name like like a few years ago.
I didn't even know what a persimmon was until I visited Japan.
They're so good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Grapefruit. Well, I haven't congratulated you yet on your Twitch partnership, so congrats.
Thank you.
I don't know too much about streaming, but it seems like quite the feat. From what I understand, it comes with some like monetization and ad revenue or something like that.
Yeah, you actually get that as an affiliate, which is easier to get than partner. It's like a step below partner, I guess. But yeah, thanks.
So yeah, I guess you're just like leveling up.
I am. I just have a fancy check mark now. That's pretty much it.
Is it like a Twitch partner? Is that the top, or can you get even higher than that?
I think you can go higher. I think there are like Twitch ambassadors. Yeah. Or some people have like they sign full-time contracts or something with Twitch and you have specific requirements of like how many hours, how many days of a week to stream or something like that. I'm not too sure, but I think there's more.
One
Gotcha.
thing that I find to be really interesting about artists who have like a Twitch channel or like a YouTube live channel or whatever is that I find that a lot of artists who go through those routes actually have like a deeper connection with their fan base. Do you find that too as well? Because you actually get to interact with people who are like watching your streams, you can talk to them. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, 100%. Before Twitch, I say like I didn't really have an online community or anything. And I think my fan base really grew with Twitch because I started that up and then a lot of Twitch streamers also have a Discord. So I have that too. And so when I'm not streaming, I am in there chatting with everybody. We do movie nights, game nights and stuff, and it's really chill. But yeah, it's a lot more, especially with Twitch as it's a live streaming platform. It's like real time interaction with the audience. So you really get to know people on there. Like it's more personable for sure.
Is Twitch where you do most of your activity?
Yeah, I guess so. I kind of split it or like I cross, what do you call it? Like my Twitch stuff, my Twitch content, I make clips from that and post it to YouTube, to Instagram, to all the other things. And then with Instagram, I talk about Twitch. And so it brings kind of the audience over. Um, but yeah, I would say Twitch is where I spend most of my time.
So if someone was to, jump into your Twitch stream, like what could they expect? Like a hot tub stream or
Exactly. Yep. That exactly. I do music on stream, and so that is usually me singing. I'm singing covers and originals. There's actually a song list that you can request songs from. And yeah, so I play songs, sing, play guitar. And then I've also in the past done some live composing where I just or I compose on stream, and people watch me do that. And by the end of it, I'll sometimes ask for like their input, which has been interesting. The results are, I say interesting like it's bad, interesting like really good. And then I get the chat to name it and all, and it's a fun process. Do some improv as well, just some piano.
Yeah. So with those live compositions you just talked about, like, do you actually just make those from scratch on the stream?
Yeah.
Dang.
Starts off with nothing, and then it becomes something at the end, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, that's kind of mind blowing. I couldn't imagine doing something like that. But I guess considering your musical background,
It's fun.
I'm sure for you it's just like I don't know. It's like breathing.
I take a breath and like it's a song. There's it's like magic.
And you mentioned that like the products of like fan interaction when you're making music on your streams is usually something that's really interesting. But that just kind of leads into something I wanted to ask is there any kind of concept or project that you would like to take on in the future that you're still not entirely ready to start with, but maybe just like a project covering like a different style of music, a different genre perhaps? Is there any project like that you're kind of thinking of doing in the future at all?
I would love to get more into film scoring. That is something that I love to do. But so I wouldn't say that there's anything, because most of the things that I want to do or have an idea of doing, I kind of just do it. Some of these live compositions, like maybe a couple months ago, you must know Wong Fu Productions.
Of course, of course.
Yes, good. Yeah, so they came out with Strangers Never Again, which is a sequel from like it's a 10-year anniversary sort of thing. And so I took their trailer for that and I was composing over it. I muted their trailer and I composed over it live on my Twitch stream. And that was kind of me trying to get into like film scoring in a way, just wanting to kind of practice scoring for something. And so I did that.
I guess not quite film score, but pretty similar, I'd say. Like you did some scoring for like some games.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know too much about what you've done.
Yeah, so that game, The Day the Sky Fell is a video game project that I worked on. It is actually a university project that I did for this year or last year. What is time? So for that, actually, also the whole soundtrack, I worked on it with Cass Elman, and it's a whole lo-fi soundtrack, which was also kind of outside of my like normal genre because my music is really chill indie folk vibes. So this lo-fi thing was fun to tackle. But yeah, so for that, it was a university project. We were grouped with computer science majors and art students from OCAD. And basically for in a semester we made a game, and you can play it on itch.io. And so yeah, Cass and I we each made like 5 tracks or so, and then we decided to put it out as an album onto Spotify just to kind of like, because we made a whole bunch of music, we want to celebrate that. So that's out there. I'm also working on this video game. We have to change the title because, copyright issues. So there's no title for the game at the moment, but I'm working on this game that kind of surrounds mental health and anxiety, depression, and those topics. I believe it's a platformer game, and music is heavily involved in it, as the characters, there are these musicians that have magical abilities to move things with their music. So that's really exciting for me. And this team I met this team through Twitch. because there are so many different kinds of Twitch streams. I and somehow ended up in a co-working stream one day, just like kind of checking out Twitch. And I was asking what they were working on. They said a video game. And so I was like, oh, hey, if you ever need music, hit me up. And he was like, hey, do you want to talk right now, actually? So we hopped on a Discord call and that was that. And now there's a little team called the Big Sad Productions. Big Sad because mental health, depression, games. And yeah, the whole team is international, and I haven't actually met anybody in person. We do our meetings over Discord and all that, and yeah, so working on that right now.
I gotta say, the music for The Day the Sky Fell, it's great. I love it. I actually I had to like ask you if that was your music because, like you mentioned, like it is a big departure from what you usually do. So I just had to double check that that was you.
That was me
But yeah,
and Cassie.
really
Yeah.
cool, really cool stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
So, looking forward to the next project for sure. And so, like you talked about how you've been meeting all these people through Twitch, and I've noticed some other names you've worked with just over the last year or so. And so, like, is that how you came into contact with Kat McDowell?
Do you guys all know Kat?
Yeah, I think Matthew knows who she is. Like, I've known about her for a few years now, at least. So I was really surprised. I think I was in one of your streams, and she just like popped up there in the comment section. I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
it's like it's the same person.
Yeah, Kat, the Twitch music community is really it's a small world. It's really large, but also you start seeing the same people everywhere. And so yeah, Kat, I don't remember like how exactly we met, but it had to be one of our viewers kind of like linked us up through a raid or something. A raid, which if like people don't know what that is where like when you end your stream and you bring your entire audience to another channel, that's what a raid is. And so we've raided each other before, and that's definitely that's how we got in contact with each other. Yeah. And we wrote a song together too, which is exciting.
I want to go back to just talking a little bit about composing music for like a score or a game or whatever. Now I know that's done differently than when you're just making a song with like lyrics, something that you would sing. But I just wanted to ask you your perspective on what you think is like the most important difference or the most notable difference when you're making music to perform and sing, or making music for like a game or like a film score or something like that. I just wanted to get your perspective on the dynamics of the two.
I think that in my case, for singing, songwriting, that's more personal. Whereas a film or a video game has a theme that somebody else came up with. And so I kind of have to put myself in a specific feeling, in a sort of headspace for film and video games. Whereas songwriting is kind of more whatever I want to write about and whatever I'm thinking about. I guess those would be the main points.
Do you think that the fact that there's already like a theme attached to like the project, like the game or movie or whatever, because there's already like a feeling or a vibe attached to it already, do you think that actually makes the song composition easier, or would it make it harder for you?
Um, I don't think there's that much of a easy, or I don't, because I'm sort of an empath, and so I find it pretty easy to just feel what others are feeling. And sometimes I take on others' emotions a little too much. But so I wouldn't say it does bring some challenges, especially when the person making the film or the game doesn't really know how to describe this kind of sound that they want. That makes it a little bit more difficult, but it's not that bad for me anyway. I think it's pretty easy to get myself into that headspace.
Maybe someday when you're like super big and famous, they'll do like film stuff or game stuff, like kind of based off your music. Because I've seen
Oh
like a few
yeah.
instances where it's kind of reverse, where like the artist is given kind of like a vague idea of what the project's supposed to be, and then they compose the songs,
Mhm.
and then they like do like editing and stuff.
That's actually sort of happening also with the Big Sad Productions. Hibu is the game dev. That's what we call him. And he's actually like I've made some like the plot was still kind of under construction. And I early on I was kind of just making stuff for fun or kind of to like fill these feelings. And he was saying how inspired he was by my music that he actually changed his ideas of the game to kind of fit the music that I was making. So that's pretty interesting.
Well, dang. I guess I sold you short there on that question. My bad.
Come on, Mac.
Whoops. But dang, like, did you start streaming in 2020? Is that when you started doing like the Twitch stuff?
I think so. I don't really know what time is anymore.
I feel like that's when I was introduced to your kind of music stuff. But
Hmm,
dang, like it seems like you've accomplished so much in a really short time. So congrats on that.
thanks.
I guess another thing to toot your horn, like congrats on that charity you did for the like the anti AAPI hate
Mhm.
charity, like over 8 grand. Dang.
Yeah, that was really fun.
And I believe Kat McDowell was involved with that as well.
Yep, for sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I invited a whole bunch of Twitch streamers to participate in that. It was a weekend long event for Stop AAPI Hate. Yeah, and it was like 2 6-hour streams. I sang some songs. Also, Kat was there. Marie, I'm just gonna forget people now, I think. Marie, the compliments, Michael Barnum. There's like a whole recap video that I made for this. There's Claire Picks, Hazy Music. Is a lot of people, a lot of friends that I made through Twitch, and I invited them to come join me for this fundraiser. And my mods and I put it together in a little bit under a week. I was like, hey, I think we should do something for Stop AAPI. It was like at the peak of whatever it was back then. Everything was very heated. And I decided I wanted to get involved. And so my mods helped me, make commands and links and overlays and get everything organized. So that was, yeah, I didn't think that because I had never done a charity stream before. And so my goal, I was like, I think I just set it to 500 because I didn't know what to expect. And then right before I even started stream, somebody had donated $400. So we hit our goal by like 10 minutes into the first stream. I was like, oh, um, I really should set it higher. We just kept pushing it. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird feeling. You're like, wow, that's like amazing that like you've exceeded your goal so much, but you also feel kind of like disappointed in yourself.
That was kind of dumb. I should have just set it higher at the beginning.
Yeah, we
People
did
are very generous.
it's insane. Yeah, I know we did a like a Movember charity thing. I can't remember what our goal was, but like it wasn't that high. Yeah, it was crazy. Like we basically doubled that.
Amazing.
It's insane how like generous people are sometimes.
Yeah.
Like there's just no shortage to your accomplishments. It seems like. But one thing I noticed, it seems like you're like often surrounded by Asians. You know. And so like I don't know if that's a conscious effort on your part or if like you're trying to like actively support and build the Asian community, or if that's just like, just your connections just all happen to be Asian. I don't know.
I think it just happened that I'm surrounded by a lot of Asians. Well, actually, my like high school was like the Asian high school, in the city. Just like the community that I live in is just a lot of Asians. But I don't think it's a super conscious effort to make that happen. But I am all for like supporting other Asian Americans, Asian American artists, and all that for sure. But I guess the people that I surrounded myself with just happened to all be Asian, or most.
Yeah, it's definitely not a criticism. Just a weird observation I had.
It was a really interesting way you worded it.
Yeah, I do that a lot. Not super
All good.
eloquent with words. But,
I feel that.
yeah. Anyways, we're basically at the end of the show here. But Mirabelle, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate that. I guess just to end it off, do you have any plugs you'd like to share?
Well, if you want to catch my Twitch streams, come say hi. You can it's twitch.tv/Mirabelle Jien, MIRABELLEJIEN. And you can just kind of type my name into Google and it'll show you all of my platforms like YouTube, Instagram. I have a Patreon, all that. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, just wherever you listen to music, basically. Yeah.
And that's that. So everyone, thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to come back next week to see what's cooking across Asia.